Are you ready to present your work to the public? I've got a few simple tips for you that might help along the way. I'd like to thank the Process Art Discovery audience for joining me today. I'm Lynda Norman. I'm a watercolor artist in the beautiful province of British Columbia. Today I thought I would share with you a few of the things that I do when I'm getting ready to present my work to the public. You know, I got a question, a response, a comment the other day from one of our listeners, one of our viewers, and they were wondering about the artist's statement, which is really key, I think, when you're getting ready to step out into the world and share your art with the public in art shows, not workshops, but markets and places where you can actually get your work out there and have people enjoy it and purchase it and take it home. And I know when I'm purchasing anything, if there's a personal touch, if there's something just a little bit different, it really stands out to me, and I appreciate the effort that person has put into making that come together. So today I thought I'd like to start with the artist statement, and that's important. If you've put your heart and soul into your work, it would be really nice, I think, for anybody looking at purchasing your work to know a little bit about you. And I've done that over the years. It's evolved, it's changed, but this is an example of how I do that. Just a simple sheet of paper. If I'm at an art show, a market, a fair, any place that I've taken my art to the public, or if my art is being exhibited in a cafe or a gallery or anywhere, I always provide one of these. I often will laminate them or slip them into one of those sheet protector sleeves. And if I can't place it on an easel on my table or the space where I'm presenting, it will easily fit on a wall near some of my work in another setting. And I think it's just a nice touch for anybody looking at your work to sort of have that connection with you. We always I think, at least I always appreciate that personal connection. So I will quickly read you what I have in my statement. If any of it resonates with you, you could perhaps use that when you put yours together. It doesn't have to be a lengthy statement. It can be 2 or 3 sentences. You just want to share a bit about you and your art. In some settings, it may be important to put your professional designations, if that applies. I'm a self-taught artist, so I'm my own my own reference there. So what I have on mine, and I'll just read this to you. Lynda Norman was born in Kelowna, British Columbia, and is a self-taught artist. Her body of work is primarily watercolor and ranges from subtle to vibrant, often incorporating elements of abstract, and values individual expression. The artist's direct experience of her subjects, her emotional response to nature, and her intuition are all more important than the academic theory or elevated subject matter. Her paintings are created from an instinctive response rather than a detailed study of her subjects, and she prefers to use color to enhance or understate certain elements. Understanding that by combining elements of color and shape, the viewer's eye is encouraged to blend the colors so that each individual experiences the painting differently, Lynda's work leaves her subjects and their relationship open to interpretation, an invitation to viewers to experience their own feelings and thoughts. Lynda has always known that creativity is a natural part of being, that we are meant to fully participate in life on Earth, and that we are meant to express, share, and celebrate our creativity. Boundary Studio is an extension of her vision to create opportunities for each and every person to experience the benefits of creativity in ways that are meaningful, fulfilling, healing, positive, and essential to personal well-being and a thriving community. I have my photo on there. I have a little note here that says you can visit me at my YouTube channel and how to do that, my website, my email. I have a little logo and then my phone number. You don't have to put your phone number if you don't want people to connect with you that way. It's up to you to decide what contact information you want to have them interact with you with. I'm going to change this logo because my granddaughter, one of my granddaughters, has designed a new logo for me, so that's very exciting. I get to step it up a level, so that's exciting. So as I say, you can print it on just regular paper and slip it into a sleeve. Sometimes I print them on heavier paper stock, and then they can stand on their own. They're nice to have something like this just sitting on an easel near where your work is being displayed. So it's up to you how you use that, but I think it's important. And practice with that. And I'm sure, I mean, you could probably Google or use ChatGPT or any of those programs to really capture what you want to say about yourself and how you want that put forward. So that's what that looks like. When it comes to the paintings themselves, there are things that I like to do that that sort of, I don't know, are kind of a part of my signature, I guess, is how that comes together. And I have on my laptop, I just created actually in a Word document, but you can use any program you like or have a printer do this for you. But I do these little cards and I cut them so that they fit. And each one is specific to each painting that I do. So these all have a different name on them. So this one, is to do with this mushroom painting. I'll leave that there and I'll show you how that comes together in a moment. And I will give the information about the painting. This is called a certificate of authenticity. And what this does is it gives the purchaser the name of the painting, some details about the painting, and how to care a little, and also a little bit about you, the artist, and just a short statement about how to care for watercolors, because they are, they are precious things, and we need to look after them in the right way. And then also your contact information. So, for example, this one here, pardon me, Lavender Lake, a Lynda Norman original, watercolor on 100% cotton paper. Now, if this was ready, if I was matting it and putting in a sleeve, I would put matted and ready to frame perhaps on there. If I was putting this on a cradle board, I would, underneath that 100% watercolor paper, on 100% cotton paper, I would add mounted to a cradle board. If it was one of my paintings watercolor on canvas, I would state that under where it says watercolor, and then on exhibition deep canvas or the dimensions of the canvas. It's nice for a purchaser to see what the size is. Not everybody has that ability to conceptualize or see and feel what shapes and sizes are. So if they are out and they're thinking, boy, I have a spot above my fireplace that could use a 36 by 48 piece of art, it's nice for them to be able to see what that is and what you have available. So again, the title, a Lynda Norman original, watercolor on 100% cotton paper, which would be what most of these are, from the artist's observation and imagination, I always put on mine, because everybody always says, oh, where is that scene from? Or, that looks like, my backyard or whatever it happens to be. So I try to put that on there, unless it's, if it's a commission, then of course I'll be more detailed. Or if I have painted something from an inspiration, I could put, inspired by the view from, big rock on the side of a lake or something. I just try to be, just a little bit of information. It gives the purchaser a better sense of understanding of the painting, so that when they buy that painting and it's hanging on their wall and their visitors come and they're standing there with their coffee or their wine, they can say, and this, and then they've got more information they can share about that art. And I think it just, it makes it more special to the purchaser, and it also makes it more more respectful and a nice way to honor you, the artist. Okay, so the next little bit I put in here is watercolor artist Lynda Norman lives in Kelowna, BC, Canada, and creates in her studio there. Most of her creatives are painting from memories, imagination, and an instinctive response rather than detailed study, and a little bit about from what came from my artist statement. And then below that, and I keep that fairly simple. I don't want to have this, a volume on the back of the painting, just something, key points from my artist statement. And then my disclaimer. As with all fine art, direct and prolonged exposure to sunlight may result in potential fading. And that's important. For the most part, most paints now, especially the fine, extra fine watercolor paints, brands, Daniel Smith, Holbein, all those other, they're pretty light fast, and you can tell that by your tubes. And then you can always seal your paint with an archival spray varnish, or you can have it mounted professionally behind archival non-glare glass. You can mention that if you know that that's how that piece is coming together. So, but still, I think in any case, I don't think you'd want someone hanging your painting in direct sunlight. So underneath a skylight or next to a bright window or patio door or something. So I like to put that in there. It's their choice if they do, and but it's in their hands from that point on. And then I put another disclaimer: all copyright and reproduction rights are reserved by the artist. All copyright and reproduction rights are reserved by the artist. I think we have to say that. There's so much going on now with art theft. Who knew? I can't believe that this is happening, but it is. Or reproductions. And if somebody really likes your work and it's an exceptional piece, and they take it and they get prints made and they start selling it, that's kind of not good. So I don't know that this is really legally binding, but at least it tells people that you are aware that, you want to protect yourself. And then my website and my phone number. Again, it's up to you if you want to put your phone number or your email address or anything. But I think it's nice for the purchaser to have a way to contact you, or a way for them to tell others how to contact you if they like your work and want to get in on the action. So, and I just do these at home. And these are on a little bit of a heavier weight paper. They're not the thin papers. So they have a nice finish. I very often will laminate them. I'll cut them and laminate them so that they're protected on the back of the paper, painting. And that way, if for some reason someone wants to reframe the painting, if they have to take it off and mount it somewhere else, it's not going to be destroyed by the glue on the back if it's got a laminated finish to it. So there's that. I try to make each one as specific to each painting as I can, and that's easily done if you have if you have a home computer and you're comfortable with that. But I mean, you could even do these by hand if that's how you are comfortable working. Yeah, I think it's just important to get your information to the person who may be purchasing, and so yeah, sometimes I print a bunch of these up. If they're generic, if I'm doing a large show and there's lots of similar sized pieces that don't have titles, I mean, gosh, that's another whole video in itself. How to come up with a title for a video or for a painting, right? I have a hard time with those. So sometimes I just do the generics. If I know I'm doing a whole bunch that are going to be on wood cradle boards, then I will just print a bunch up and get them ready to go. Now, I don't know, many of you may already know, but I don't know if all of you do, that there is a gentleman in Scotland named Kit Duddy who writes poems inspired by my art, and also inspired by art and photographs and different things from around the world. And his poems are delightful. And very often I will paint a painting, throw it up on social media at the end of the day, and not think about it again, go to bed, and when I wake up in the morning, because of the time difference, of course, they're 8 hours away or different. I'll wake up with a fresh poem for that individual art piece in my inbox. It fills my heart. I can't even tell you how special that is. And he is such a generous soul, and he's just happy to have his words and his poems shared. Just a little aside, he never wrote poetry until his mom passed away, and he was inspired. Something came over him. He said to write a poem for his mom to deliver at her funeral, and he said it was like a tap turned on, and now he writes several poems a day. Actually, he's written a book called A Poet's Dream, I believe it's called. You can look him up, Kit Frank Duddy, D-U-D-D-Y. Anyway, his poems arrive, and he's written over 200 for me now for my art. And so if there's a poem for a piece of art that's going up for sale, I will print the poem in a similar style as I do for the certificate of authenticity, and I usually have room on the painting to attach both of them, because I do them myself, I can adjust the size of them if I have to make them both work if it's a smaller piece, and I love to attach that as well, because that just gives that extra I don't know, connection to the painting. And often, I have to tell you, he comes up with an interpretation of my paintings that honestly I had never thought of. Sometimes I just paint for the joy of getting the colors down, and he will see something in those colors and translate that to his poems. So it's it's something I can do for people who purchase my work. I love to do that. I love that Kit provides those beautiful poems for me. I did meet him last year when I went to Scotland, and I can't say enough about that little thing. So if there's something that is unique to your art or to your studio, maybe your dog sits beside you while you paint, and you can put a little paw print on one of these. I put my little logo, and that's special to me. So make it individual. Make it something that's your own. You can do a little, I know a lot of people do a little sketch in the corner, a little dragonfly or a little ladybug or a little daisy or who knows, but something to make it yours. Okay, so these are cut out, and again, with a poem, I definitely would try to laminate it or get it on something a little more substantial so that it is more permanent. You don't want that to be ruined. And then I'll just show you how some of these things come together. And I did not bring my tape. That is not a good thing, but I will tell you. I have double-sided tape, and you can buy that at most craft stores. Some of them come in little dispensers, and you can zip them along and put them along the edges of your piece of paper. So this is just on a wood cradle board, and so in this case, I would put this, if this was the one to go on here, I would put it probably about there. Now I get labels and stickers and things printed. I can get some printed from one of my local print shops that I use for a lot of my work. They will scan and do other things for me. But these I get from a company called Vista Print, which is, I think, available both in Canada and the US. So this label has my name, my YouTube connection, my website, and my phone number. And it's just a little 1 inch by probably 3 inches. And I sometimes will put them here, just like that. And these I actually got for when I'm wrapping a painting up. If someone purchases, I use black tissue paper and paper bags, and I will wrap the painting, and to hold this tissue paper in place, I will put this little thing on to hold it together. and it just says Original Art by Lynda Norman. But sometimes I kind of like how they look, so I will pop one of those in there as well. I like just seeing how they, that little bit of shiny sticker makes it look a little more finished. And then I will glue that on, and it's ready to go. Now, I didn't bring the tissue paper to show you, but I'm sure you know how that all comes together. When someone purchases a piece of art, whether it's when I'm there in person at a show or a market or a gallery, or if I'm mailing out, I always include one of these. And I had these printed from our local printer, CMYK Digital Plus, and we designed them, and just says, "Thank you for your purchase. You made my day." And then my little Bandry information at the bottom there. And then I just will sign it. Sometimes I'll put a personal note if it's appropriate, and I tuck that in with the painting as well. So these are the things that really aren't costly. They're not expensive to do. I mean, I think she printed 200 of these for me, so they'll last me a while. Whoops. And just a nice little touch, I think, for any purchaser. They're honoring you by purchasing your work, and it's just a really nice thing to do to say thank you. So they're just wanted to show you how they look on the back of a framed painting. And again, this painting is called Bagel Rising. It was a fun one to do with. Actually, I used a CD label template sticker thing just to see how it would work, and when I took it off, it actually left a bit of funny impressions on the paper, and that's how the paint sort of came together on that. So Bagel Rising. So there's the title, an original watercolor by Lynda Norman, and all the other details. There's my sticker, and if I wanted to put one of these little guys on, I certainly could. These you can buy any number that you want. I think probably starts at like 25 or 24 or something. I'm not sure. They're not that costly, and they're just a fun thing to have on hand. And they're great. These stickers are great to put on your artwork, on your cards. If you do cards, they fit nicely. These fit nicely on the little wooden ornaments that I do. They're just a nice way to finish off that bit of work. So give it some thought. What kind of things can you do to personalize your work? Make you stand out a little bit from the others. Like I say, it could be anything from a little fancy initial in the corner, a little thank you note. I can't say enough about these. They just go a long way. I also have another roll of stickers that I purchased locally, and it says Love Local, and I have another one that says Support Local, Buy Local, and those are really nice for sticking your edges of your tissue paper together when you're wrapping your paintings. It's just a really nice way to acknowledge the purchasers of your work. I have a bunch of cards, greeting cards that I had printed, so they're not originals, but they are my work, and I often will include one or two of those in just as a little, without any writing in them, just as a little thank you gift. I have a friend in one of my paint groups that gives away a bookmark with her work. And so any of those little things that, that as I'm thinking, probably not a cake or anything, but something nice to attach to your work, just to elevate that experience for your purchaser, I think is really a nice touch. I'd like to thank the Process Art Discovery audience for joining me today. I hope some of the ideas that I shared with you on how I present my work, the little touches that I add to work when I'm displaying my art, and what I do to acknowledge and thank my purchasers when they purchase my art. I hope some of those maybe will work for you or inspire you to come up with ideas of your own. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to the channel or head on over to the members area. There'll be some fun things happening there.